Hey guys, Last Bro Weekend here, sliding to the DMs of your mind with a review of XCOM2, or as some affectionately call it, how the fuck do you miss shooting a guy when he's standing right next to you? Now, XCOM2 is a turn-based squad game that pits you as the commander of 4 to 6 hapless space marines that are destined to overthrow the tyrannical yoke of your new alien overlords by running an elite guerrilla-like operations group across the world in order to get yourself one step closer to understanding the Avatar Project. All the while doing the noble and selfless mission of teaching homeless people and crack addicts how to love again. Alright, enough about the general idea of the game. Let's talk a bit about the good and bad things of the game itself. This game completely matches the current zeitgeist of gaming in the sense that it's very difficult and very rewarding. You will find yourself frustrated time and time again, probably restarting multiple Iron Man campaigns after the last one had inevitably failed. And also more than likely yelling at the closest pet or inanimate object that is near you, and probably wrecking a few familiar relations. But when you finally have something going right for yourself, and you begin to pull off that one excellent or flawless engagement after another, the game really opens itself up and becomes hugely rewarding. My second positive is that at first when I started playing XCOM 2, I wasn't sure how I felt about the changes in classes. After just coming off of XCOM 1 originally, it really threw me off guard and kind of turned me off. I had just come off of beating XCOM 1 and had a dick full of confidence, just ready to go, and having to relearn new classes and skill trees was not exactly how I wanted to start my playthrough, but I have to admit, Firaxis did a very commendable job with adding these new classes and really blending them together, and how they ultimately complement each other, especially with your higher level squad mates, is hugely rewarding. I have to admit, some of the highest ranking class abilities were so well made and are so clever that I really have to tip my hat to Firaxis. Now on to a couple of the negatives. The biggest negative I have about the game is how the time limits are placed on most of the engagements, especially for how difficult the game is already. Putting a time limit on, I would say, 90% of the engagements inside the game feels incredibly cheap at times, and due to some of the game bugs, just downright cruel. For one instance, I can think of a time when one of my best Marines was knocked unconscious, and due to the game bugging out, I was not able to pick her up. So I had to make the unfortunate decision of leaving her behind, otherwise I risked losing the entire team just because we were running low on time. There were no aliens left to engage, no one was around us, it's just that the game bugged out and I had to leave her. That was kind of frustrating to deal with, and an unnecessary difficulty part added into the game. A smaller and very minor negative is that the game really tries to stack it up against you at the beginning. There's a lot thrown at you at the beginning, and then it kind of all just mellows out afterwards. I don't want to give away too many details, but there's a certain engagement I want to say you'll find yourself within an hour of playing that you have to get your squad through to progress through the game. And if you're able to get through that without really taking any real casualties, / you've played it enough, then you're probably going to make it through the game all right. Like, I guarantee you, for most of you newcomers, most of your fails are going to happen at the beginning. You're not going to make some deep, long run where it's a 10-hour long campaign and then finally everything falls apart for newbies. It's going to take a long time to get through that first hump, which is kind of annoying. But, ultimately, to each their own in terms of how they develop a game. Overall, I gotta highly recommend XCOM 2 here. It's so frustrating at the beginning, but once you really get going and you find your groove and you develop a good strategy, I'll probably make a video on how to encompass a good strategy for the game. You can find a ton of enjoyment in here. I highly recommend it. I really think this is a great game to jump into. Even if you're new to the XCOM series, this is a good one to pick up. You don't really have to, you're not really losing out if you don't play the first XCOM, though I recommend it. So I highly recommend it. I'll tell you guys to go out and get it. It's already kind of an old game considered, so I'm sure y'all just listen to the ramblings of a crazy man. But hey, as you know, this is Last Brohican, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Please leave a like or subscribe, and as always, just keep it real.